Welcome to the Rising Consciousness Show, 20 minutes of soulful insights and powerful tools to elevate your life experience and create with higher clarity, intention, and vision. I'm Tara Antler, intuitive healer and soul coach.
And I'm King Gabriel, spiritual teacher and practitioner. And we are the co-founders of Ascension Academy of Life,
a global center for spiritual growth, intuitive healing, and soul alignment.
Get ready to blast off.
Hey, so grateful to be here.
Welcome to our Rising Consciousness podcast.
Hey. Today we're talking about a hot topic, a topic that a lot of people ask us regularly. And I said to Gabriel, as we've been revamping our Pinterest, we actually don't have a checklist of our well-being things that we do regularly in order to maintain and sustain our vitality, our health, our youthfulness, our bodies, all of it. And I thought this would be a really cool episode for you guys. So it's actually called Our Personal Well-Being Checklist. And we're going to go through some of the top things that we do on the regular, the day-to-day, or maybe weekly to keep ourselves vital, healthy, well, feeling awesome, feeling youthful.
And sane.
Yes, and sane, especially with 3 little ones. So my top one that I want to touch on is consciousness.
Yeah.
So being that this is the Rising Consciousness Show, we can't have the Rising Consciousness Show without talking about consciousness.
Yep.
And consciousness is really important because it weaves into everything else that we're going to be talking about and sharing in this checklist. So for me, when I think about consciousness, and Gabriel, I'd love for you to share your take on this too, but my feeling about consciousness is it's how I go about my day-to-day experience. So it's not necessarily something that I do, but it's a state and a vibration and a space that I hold within myself in terms of how can I go about my day? What's the level of consciousness that I'm at in any given moment? And what am I bringing to each situation? What am I bringing to the consciousness when I interact with the trees? What am I bringing in terms of my interaction with the kids or with Gabriel or with our clients or with sitting down to do a post? What's the level of consciousness that I'm bringing? And it could be a simple tweak as in, I have to go and teach tonight, or I get to go and teach tonight. That's a very simple little reframe that changes your consciousness because how you enter into something determines everything else, your energy, your emotions, your state, your vibrancy. And if I'm feeling lackluster about something and my consciousness is really low, I'm probably not going to feel so great. My body's going to reflect that. And then I'm going to have some nasty thoughts that I'm going to have to clean house about.
Yep. I agree. Consciousness is definitely point 1 on the list for me as well. Now, meditation is great. It puts you in a space of receptivity and openness and open to divine ideas. But the consciousness part of things, that's all you believe and accept as true. Mm-hmm. And I find that with me, I get to see what I believe, really, because in my day-to-day actions, right, while I'm going around, I'll see the things that, let's say, I'm thinking, I have to go teach class. Mm-hmm. I'll see, why do I feel that way, right? Mm-hmm. And if I look at why I feel that way, I'll realize that maybe I feel like I could be doing something else, or I feel like I'm thinking about something from the past that I had as an experience that comes up. And if that comes up, that's something to deal with right then. Mm-hmm. That's something that I believe and accept right then that's stopping me from being my best self. Mm-hmm. So there's an opportunity for me to clean house on that and to pull back some power from whatever that thought or experience was, right? And regain it in that moment. So I really see consciousness as key, number 1, definitely. And that's something that I would put as number 1 on my list as well. Next on my list, though, would you like to speak on that for a bit?
Well, you were going to say meditation?
Yeah, well, meditation, definitely. Yeah. Meditation is important because that gives you, in my opinion, I could dive right in. It gives you the ability to look at the things that have bothered you from a sort of distant perspective. You're not all enmeshed in it. You're able to view it as an observer instead of being all caught up in it so you can't even see your way out of it, right? So I believe that it gives us that ability to respond to the things that come up just a bit better. Mm-hmm. And that just a bit better is sometimes all you need to be able to transcend that and to be able to move to your next level of being. Yeah,
I second that 100%. And I would add on to that too, that for me, meditation, I actually feel younger and more youthful and revitalized and re-energized. My body, my thoughts, my emotions, all parts of me go through that elevation through whether it's 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 minutes of meditation,
Yeah.
something significant changes.
Yes, yes.
And so in that significant change, when that happens for me, I can then go back into my world or continue in my day-to-day activities feeling more refreshed and feeling energized. Whenever we do our Thrive in Fives, one of the things that we talk about all the time is go energy. And one of the most powerful ways to do that is through meditation, when you're amplifying your connection to source, the divine, the earth, yourself, and you can re-energize quite quickly through meditation. This is why we love our Thrive in 5 practices, because in 5 minutes, like someone could say, I don't have 20 minutes to sit in meditation.
Yeah.
And we say to people, you don't have to for 20 minutes. You could do a 5-minute meditation and be so powered up and change your consciousness
Yes.
that you actually could feel healthier and more vibrant. And the other cool thing about meditation that just popped into my mind was there are so many times that I've used the medium of meditation, like guided visualization, for example, which is a type of meditation, to heal my body.
Yeah.
So when confronted with certain conditions or states of imbalance or dis-ease, I 100% of the time go and do some sort of creative visualization for myself that changes not only my state, but I can actually go in and rework whatever's happening to heal my body from that thing.
Yeah, and that's another amazing use of meditation, I would say. When we're able to access that space of meditation, it's like we're accessing our higher self, our larger self, God self, if you'd like to call it that. And from that space, whatever you're visualizing and putting attention into, you're now investing into, right? Just like we invest all the time, we're investing either in thoughts that do not serve us, that do not work really well, or we're investing in thoughts and ideas, concepts that can actually lead us forward. So our consciousness being all we believe and accept as true, we want to refine that bad boy. We want to work with that. We don't want to keep it as it is if as it is causing us pain or causing us discomfort or causing us to feel like we could be tired or lackluster. We want to work with that, right? So that's how I view it, at least. And I really feel that that's a point that's major. Now, that comes down into all other areas, which we will talk about later. But I would say that that's a great starting point. The next area, are you ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
The next area I see as, this would be number 2 on my list, I believe, or number 3 in this case, because I put meditation and consciousness first and second. I would say that the next plot or the next part of it would be the physical activity, right? This is something I do every day and with good reason. With good reason. The good reason is sometimes when the body is stagnated for really long, it feels like the energy is pooling. And when that energy pools for a long period of time, we tend to turn to other sources to try to feel that energy within ourselves, which is why some people do things like overeat, overdrink, overindulge in other things as well. But when you have a balance of that and those endorphins are feel it, you get out and you move around and you feel the movement and you feel the endorphins and you rise and the proper balance of hormones within you, you feel good. You feel good.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? So
whenever I feel stagnant, like this is the example that just popped in my head, was that it's the analogy of moving water, like a river or rapids or a waterfall. We all love to sit by a stream. We all love to sit by the waterfalls. We all love to sit by the ocean and hear the sound. Why? For many reasons, but it's also moving water. It's energized. There's actual negative ions that promote our health and well-being. It's the same thing when we move. You're moving the water in your body. You're moving the lymph, the blood. You're moving all parts of you. You get to lubricate your joints. Your cells are healthier. Your vertebrae are healthier. Everything gets healthier when we move. But when we get stagnant, like a stagnant body of water, like a pond or a marsh that may not have, or a puddle even, that has very little movement, some things start growing in there. It gets a little funky.
Algae and all sorts of other things start to develop there,
And I think the same thing happens in our body. When we're stagnant, it leaves space and room for things to grow in our body, whether that's bacteria or a virus or a thought or a not so great way of being. It allows for things to grow within us that then we have to work harder to clean house. And I think that when we move, I think back to when we were in Mexico and I was doing yoga regularly and also grooving on the beach. I miss that so much now that we're back here in Northern Ontario, because that movement, even though it was once a week we were dancing on the beach, those endorphin rushes they were talking about, so powerful. So it's really important.
It's key, if you're really on a beautiful spiritual journey, which we are, that movement makes a significant difference. It could be, I remember in Barbados, there would be these people getting up early in the morning to just walk on the beach. Remember the brisk walks that all those people would be walking on the beach? They just walk on the beach. And that walking is actually a great form of exercise. If you can't play something really advanced, or you don't want to play anything too hectic, or maybe yoga is not your thing, at least getting up for a walk or some type of movement, swimming, any type of movement is great. It's great for the system in general. It actually moves energy.
Yeah.
You're moving energy. Yeah.
And I was just going to say, whenever I feel stagnant, Gabriel will watch this. I'll start to feel stagnant about something.
Yeah.
Could be anything. Pick anything. And all of a sudden I'm like, I got to go for a walk.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's just no rhyme or reason or timing. It's not a particular time of day. I got to go.
Yeah.
I got to go for a walk now. And when I come back, I feel refreshed. I feel great. You're breathing in fresh air and oxygen. You've moved your body, which moves the thing that's been plaguing you or weighting you down or creating that stagnant energy.
Yeah.
And so you can move a lot just by moving your body. So yeah, I agree with you. Like number 3, movement.
Yes.
I would say number 4 for me would be our mind, which ties into consciousness. But I find the mind, being able to work with the mind is really, really powerful in terms of your own health and well-being. And there have been many times in my journey where I physically couldn't move, whether it was after giving birth to the babies, whether I, hurt myself and I physically couldn't move. I went straight to my mind and programmed my mind to make it seem like I was still moving. I was giving myself thoughts like I was moving. Even the Olympic athletes that I worked with, they came to me for visualization and meditation because they wanted to become the best of the best at their craft. And they knew that they could only go so far with the physical training. They knew then they had to work with the mind and go deeper into their visualization to see themselves doing their thing at an excellent level.
Yes, and I find that with the mind itself, it's also what you intake, right? It's definitely what you're focused on, whether you're doing, let's say, affirmations or any sort of thing that leads you to thinking in a positive direction, a direction that leads you to where you want to go. Or it's also what you're taking in, right? And in terms of what you're taking in from the world, you want to make sure that you set your perception in a way that doesn't allow you to get stuck on anything for too long or get upset for really long. So I do this on a constant basis as well. There will be things in life that challenge you, that stretch you because of your past and because of how you already are thinking. But when those things come, if we view them as opportunities to get stronger, to get better at what we're working on, then we're grateful for those moments instead of resistant to those moments, right? And so this is a key here for the mind. If the mind can be in a state of receptivity more often, then those challenges are met in a way that they're embraced and used for growth. And that's really what we're about, because the better you grow, the stronger that you get at what you're doing, right? The better you can continue to do, the more you can advance, the greater that your spirituality, your business, anything that you're doing, it will increase as well, because that level of focus now that you have is that much greater. It's that much greater. So the mind is key. Yeah,
I would agree with that. So I think one, being very mindful as to what you're letting in, like Gabriel said. What are you focused on? What are you listening to? What are you watching? What are you filling your mind with? What are you feeding your mind? And if you don't like what you're feeding your mind, then start to change it by simple mantras, or change up the content that you're listening to so that you can really support your mind in the direction of where you want to go. This is something that we talk about a lot in Thrive Evolution. Right now we're in the Divine Expression section, which is all about healing and relationship mastery. And we go through a sequence where we actually start with the mind, we move into the emotions, we go into the body, and then we start to move into relationships and forgiveness. But the reason why we're starting with the mind, because it's so powerful. And that sets the stage for all the other internal work that you're going to do that's really powerful, which leads to number 5, doing that internal work. We call it inner alchemy, inner transformation. That work is so important because you see it in people. I've seen it in clients so many times where they come in and they look like they're carrying the weight of the world. They look like they're carrying so much, their whole lives stored inside of them. And when they start to heal and shift and transform and release and do that energetic clearing, all of that just goes, and they're lighter, they look brighter, they look transformed, their skin looks brighter and healthier and younger. People will actually say that to them. They're like, oh my God, it's like after a Reiki attunement. Oh my God, you look different. Did you do your hair? You look younger, you look vibrant, you look amazing. And it's because of that inner transformation, that inner alchemy, where you're no longer carrying around the density. You're no longer putting extra pressure and weight on your body. So your body is like, whoa, like I'm freed up here. I don't have to carry all of that. And it can actually regenerate itself quite easily and naturally because you're tending to the inner work. It's like a garden. You want your garden to grow. Well, you have to tend to the garden. You got to sometimes get rid of some of the overgrown weeds, or else they will choke out the vegetation that you want in there. It's the same thing with your internal world, your consciousness, your mind, your energy field, your chakras, the stuff that you're carrying around from the past. This is why this internal work, I think, is so valuable, important for everybody, whether it's success or business or family, relationships, wealth. If you want to move something forward, you want to be in a state of well-being, you have to at some point do this internal deep dive.
I agree. It's
Yeah.
a difference between being resentful based on your past and based what seems to be continually happening to being grateful, right? Grateful for the opportunities you have, grateful for what you actually have around you right now and all. Because in that form of appreciation, the mind itself starts to loosen its grip on the past. And it stops blaming, it stops doing all the things about condemning you for being guilty for doing something from whenever. All of that stuff goes away. And then right there, right then, you can start moving forward. You can start creating again because now you have free space and free energy to start planning, to start visioning, to start really getting the ideal clear that you're headed towards, right? Or that you've already occupied in your mind. And in that way, you get to express that. So that's what we're talking about right now. If we're able to do that, to transition through the mind, or transition the mind through that space from being resentful to grateful, then we start to see the fruits of that in our lives. Yeah,
And then I would say number 6 is fun and playfulness.
definitely.
Having so much fun. This is something I think about all the time when people ask me, they're like, how are you so youthful? Or how do you look so amazing? And although I was called a grandma the other day, but I had a good laugh about it.
You're funny.
everybody was like, that lady needs to check her glasses, right? But I am having a good laugh about it now. But anyways, I think having fun, having that youthfulness. And I was thinking about this, where it doesn't matter what biological, how many cycles you've had in your body. You could have the wisdom of whatever amount of years you've been in your body and have the youthfulness and the playfulness and the innocence of a child. And I think that's the perfect sweet spot, because you maintain and retain the wisdom and that you get to share, and you have the playfulness and the curiosity. I've seen so many people that stop dreaming because they stop being curious, or they stop dreaming because they stop playing.
And stop learning. Learning is one of those things too that keeps you young. When you learn new things, it's a fresh mind that's coming into the situation as well. So learning, playing, all these things go together, and that is play too, right? Yeah.
So go get silly. Go do
Yeah.
something silly. Think about from the mind of the child and how the child would approach the world. The child would get curious. It would go on an adventure.
That's
It
it.
would explore the world. It looks at everything with fresh eyes.
Yep.
Can you go into your world and look at things with a fresh perspective and fresh eyes, and then go have some fun, go play, go dance, go sing, go get creative? That's the cool thing about playfulness too, is that I find you get super creative. You might pick up a guitar, or you might pick up a djembe, or you might find gardening is your jam, or you might find singing or dancing, or
Or you might be on the beach walking and see a rock, and instead of just watching it and saying, oh yeah, I've seen all rocks already, you turn that rock over and you discover some new creatures that you've never seen before or something, It's like so many things to do.
I was just watching the
Yeah.
lilac trees today because it's been a couple days of steady rain, and the sky parted for a moment, and the lilacs are only here for a couple weeks. So I've been taking them in as much as I can. And so every time I go to the lilac tree, there's birds, there's humming bees, bees and humming.
No,
hummingbirds.
there are actually these humming bees. It's a
What are they?
humming
Hummingbird
moth or
moth.
something.
Hummingbird
Hummingbird moth.
moth.
Yeah,
They're
it looks
smaller
like a
this
little
year,
hummingbird.
though.
It's really small,
Yeah.
but it looks like a hummingbird actually.
And
It's
then there's
amazing.
so many butterflies. Every time I'm around them, there's at least 50 butterflies
Yep.
flying around. And to me, that's so joyful and so playful. And I feel it brings me back to gratitude, like Gabriel was talking about. So go have fun, go play. Anything else you want to add to that before we talk about number 7?
Ooh, we have 7.
That
Go
was
for
number
it.
6. We have
Yes.
8 actually.
Okay, go for
So
it.
number 7 to me would be frequency. And frequency would be all the realms of frequencies. So that includes meditation, consciousness, spirituality, energy work. I'm always doing energy work on myself. I'm always doing Reiki on myself. The kids will come and sit with me, and I can feel it, and my hands just kick on. I love playing with crystals. I love sound. I think about the crystal bowl. Even frequency devices. We know about the frequency devices that exist, and there's
Yes.
amazing programs on there for youthfulness and for health and well-being that can actually cancel out some of the heavier, denser frequencies that are contributing to illness or dis-ease, and then bring in the frequencies of health and vitality and vibrancy and youthfulness and regeneration, for example. And I really think that's good. That's one of those things that people want to incorporate as
Yeah.
much as possible. However, you're bringing in frequencies.
Yeah, and those frequencies are really what are you dialed into, right? The mind can find its frequency if you are willing to dial into it. For instance, gratitude that we're speaking about, you can dial into that frequency of gratitude. Of course, now there's technology to help us with that a bit if we've kind of lost our way of getting into that. But definitely, frequency is key. And if we can allow ourselves to be in those states that we love to a lot, we'd find that, yes, the body starts to function better. It feels lighter, it feels brighter because we're emitting a frequency that's in harmony with the makeup of the body through the body. So, yes, it'll be in order.
Yeah. And if you want to learn more about frequency devices, find a way to message us or find us somewhere on social media, because there are a couple of different frequency technologies that we've come across that are really, really powerful. And I don't get behind many things these days, but I have tested out these two and I love them.
Yeah.
Love both of them for different reasons. And so I think frequency is a big game changer in terms of, I think about even, they talk about the med beds and things like that. I think that the med beds are not going to be necessarily what we all think they might be. I think they might become more accessible to people, because really, if it's a technology that's meant for us, that's, let's say, creator given, the divine infused it, gave it to humanity, I would think that the divine would want as many people as possible, if not everybody, to have access to it.
Sure.
So I think it's a really fun conversation to talk about and to open up, but frequencies is a big thing. The last one, number 8. Now we're going to laugh a little bit here. Diet and our food choices.
Yeah.
Now, I have tested out every different diet, food choice option that exists out there. And I am not here to say you have to follow one specific way of eating. I have tried many. And there have been different ways of eating for different seasons and cycles in my life. For example, when I was pregnant with the twins, I would be eating probably a chicken a day. Okay? A roast chicken a day. Gabriel would find me at 3 a.m, starving. I'd be in the dark at the table. And he's like, what are you doing? And I'm looking at him like I'm a wild beast or something, devouring this chicken. I was like, I'm so hungry. Like, all I wanted was protein. With Aria, I remember it was the same thing. I wanted burgers. I wanted beef, right? Whereas years before that, I was vegetarian. I was vegan. I was raw vegan for a little while. I've done no carbs, all carbs, keto, all of it. And you can maybe speak into this, because I know you've
I've
been
done
all
a lot
over
of
the
this.
map
I've
too.
done raw vegan. I've done well, I haven't done the carnivore diet like
No, I
people
haven't
have
done that one,
I've
no.
always mixed it a
Yes.
bit, right? I've never done that straight out. I've done breatharianism for a bit as well, right? Which works. It works if you're willing to stick to that. But who would give up the taste of food completely?
It's so beautiful.
Like we want to enjoy life a little bit, so it's not the ideal situation. But
We've
I can
cleansed,
say
we fasted.
all of that stuff, and honestly, I must say that some of those ways of being at certain times have great benefits, right? For instance, if you fast really well, and let's say you're a raw vegan for a while, the energy that you feel within yourself is quite different. It is quite different. It's like if you want to call it your spiritual senses or whatever, they come online. You start to see things differently. I've seen some things based on that. And I think to a certain degree, for certain times, it's good to visit each one of them just to see,
toxicity.
just to explore. Some would say it's copper toxicity. I would say not. I would say not. I think it's really a heightened state to be in that the body is kind of meant to function at, but not completely. You want to vary it. You don't want to just stick to one and be like, I have to be
for the rest of your life,
because
you don't know what's going to change.
Yeah, because even some of the raw vegans I've known over time, and I must say this, I've viewed this for a long while. It is not something I'm just thinking of, but I remember first looking on, and this is not to diss anybody, but I would look at people who are raw vegans when I first started, and maybe it's just a nutritional thing where they need certain things in their diet that they're not getting, but their skin would take on a sort of duller tone. It wouldn't be as vibrant. or as I would say oily in a sense, to show that reddish color that a person who was eating everything that they required would look like. And maybe that's just working out exactly what needs to be there. I must have not done it 100% correctly,
No, I did
etc.
it. I
to be
actually did it
honest.
100%. I was taking the
Yeah.
flax oils, the
Yeah.
hemp seed
Everything,
oils.
yeah.
I was doing the whole thing.
Yeah.
And for me, it was great for a certain time period, but then I
Yes.
remember it didn't work. And I
Yes.
remember coming home and my mom and dad were like, you're not looking so great.
No,
And my
well, mom
dad
and
just
dad-
wanted to give me a burger.
Moms and dads will always be concerned in those areas. They will always be, because
Yeah.
they see their person
Yeah.
dwindling,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
That's how they
I
see.
look
That's
like
how they
I-
see.
I
Like,
look
you're
like I was
dude, are you
dwindling."
starving? They're like, because you get leaner, right?
Yeah.
And that's a different
Yeah.
look. They're accustomed to seeing your nice full face, and then all of a sudden that face
Yes.
gets super hard.
But then
They're
when
like,
I
wow.
will admit, when
Yeah.
when I did
Yeah.
have a venison burger,
Yeah.
I felt the difference. My
That's
cells
how I am.
almost came online. It was like, and it was like, oh my gosh, I felt so good, and I
Yeah.
looked healthy. I looked
Yeah.
vibrant again. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying there's any one way.
Yeah.
What I would say is intuitively, you need to tune into what's good for you.
Definitely.
And that comes through trial and error.
Yeah.
That comes through you knowing your own what's good for you. You might look at eggs one day and just be like, nah, I'm not
Yeah,
eating those
some days
for a
you don't
while.
feel like them.
You just
You
don't
just
want
don't feel
to.
like, yeah.
You know, one thing that I would say that's consistent, that has been consistent for me when it comes to like diet, nutrition, and that sort of thing, is I eat as much organics as possible. We buy as much organics as possible for the kids. I garden as much as possible where we can and when we can, because I think that that's really beautiful to be able to eat from the earth without any stuff being sprayed on it.
Extra.
Yeah, and I really
Yeah.
love clean water.
Yeah.
That is an essential for me. Well water,
Yeah.
spring water, not filtered tap water from the cities that's gone through many, many things over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But I would say really, really clean water is important to me. Really clean water is important to me.
Yeah.
And it feels different, right? So I would say those things are important. And enjoying the food. Gabriel touched on this. Really being
Yeah,
able to
yeah.
enjoy your food. Like I love lattes. Right now I'm drinking decaf. But I still drink coffee, not because I need the kick and the caffeine, but I really truly enjoy and I savor the whole process of making a really delicious latte. So whatever you do take in, enjoy it, be with it, love it. If it's cake, love it, enjoy it, be with it, bless it.
Yep.
You know, they say you can have your cake and eat it too. I kind of think that you can if your consciousness is in the right space. But you have to make sure that your consciousness is tended to so that when you do eat that chocolate cake, you're not beating yourself up because you're eating that chocolate cake, because that's not going to be good for you.
Yep. Yeah. The guilt associated with that will definitely have some effects as well. So it's best to just let it be.
And I do have one more suggestion for
Holy
you all.
smokes.
Well, it's not on my. This is still within the 8. This is still within the 8.
Yeah.
But recently, I did try this particular kind of juice, and if you're curious, message me, because when we got back,
Yes.
we had a really interesting phenomenon happen. So it was delivered to our house 2 months prior to us getting back from Mexico, and when I got back here, and I had been hearing about this juice, and I was like, yeah, whatever. I am like so skeptical when it comes to these things now, y'all, because I have
Because of
seen
me.
I've seen everything under the sun. Like when you've been a holistic healthcare practitioner for almost 22 years, you see everything under the sun. And for me now, I'm like, here we go again. Another fad,
thing,
another
another
thing,
thing.
another whatever, another hype. Yeah, whatever. And to be honest, I was like, let's just try it. I'll give it a go. It's here. I'll give it a go. And in that first week that we were back, almost everybody in our extended family went through something. And Aria and myself and a few others of us, we didn't, because we were drinking this particular substance. So I said, there's something to this in terms of the minerals, the nutrients, our belly, the probiotics. There's something to it that if we can actually support our system. And you got to find the right configuration for you. Like, I think that for me, that was just a great configuration, right? And so I don't promote too many things very often, but this thing I am amazed by. And also there's some other things, like my energy is sustained, and I'm noticing libido energy back up again, and just feeling general glowy goodness most of the day. And so there is something to be said for that gut brain health, and that's all tied into nutrition. But I would say go research that for yourself. Go look deeper into that. What is that gut brain connection, and is it healthy, and is it talking to each other? Or do you need some support, because there's a lot of things in our environment now that have kind of messed up our systems a little bit, that yes, we can change our consciousness about it. And yes, we can do all the clearing and everything. But I do think that sometimes there are minerals and things out there that can support us, like homeopathic remedies, like essential oils, like certain herbs. They can help rebalance us faster because they're made for us as well. They're of the earth, made for us. So I do think sometimes there are some minerals or things that we can bring into our system that actually help bring up our health physically. And if we're doing all the other things that we were just talking about, you will be in a state of health and vibrancy, right? So it is possible to be healthy and vibrant and well and feel good most of the time, if not all of the time. And I know that seems like a big list, but really, in all honesty, these are the regular things that we do, I'd say almost all the time.
And I just want to say this. If we tend to our consciousness, which was number one on the list, these things find us.
100%.
All of these things find us.
Yeah.
We find ourselves doing these things naturally, right? If you raise your consciousness, you'll naturally find yourself doing everything that we mentioned on that list naturally. It just happens.
Totally agree.
Right? So
Yep.
That's what we got to tend to.
Exactly. Great way to wrap up.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here. We'll post some links below this audio and below the podcast. If you have any questions, reach out to Gabriel and I. Find us on social media. This has been such a fun conversation. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. See you soon.
Bye. Thank you so much for joining us today on another episode of the Rising Consciousness Show. For more high vibration conversations, meditations, energy activations, and tips and tools on creating your most exceptional life, we lovingly invite you to connect with us at academyoflight.ca. The website is www.academyoflight.ca. It is time to create your heaven on earth experience, and we look forward to sharing this beautiful journey with you.
You're listening to Rising Consciousness, yeah.
Woo!
Woo!